Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Built from Day One. That's right. You didn't hear any howdies. You didn't hear any Happy New Year's, Happy Birthdays until now.
Just a welcome.
But welcome.
What
Um,
welcome?
yeah, and Timberwolves
What's our
Daily.
welcome tonight?
Timberwolves Daily in the chat missed the game. Can't go live right now, but looking forward to watching the replay. Have a good stream, fellas. Thanks, TD.
Have a good restream.
Yes, definitely. This is a
It's a
good one to
really,
watch.
really good game.
Yeah.
Really good game.
I think this was a really fun game for a bunch of reasons, mainly that we won, but also, this showed kind of a different Timberwolves team again that we maybe aren't used to seeing. We said this against the bad teams earlier this week and last week, where we were blowing out bad teams every night. We did 4 nights in a row, and that's not normal for the Timberwolves. Maybe that's expected, but that's certainly not normal. And tonight we went up big in the beginning, which isn't necessarily a surprise for the Timberwolves and a heavy offensive, heavy play style. But then we went down by like 15 and it seemed like it was over. At that moment I was kind of like, I was really trying to pull myself up and be like, do not fall into Timberwolves doomland again. Do not do it. And I did. I stayed up. I did have to grab a Trader Jose from the fridge to do so. But
Trader Joe's, not even a Trader Joe's, a Trader Jose.
that's what they call them. And then that second half happened. We came back and we won. But yeah, my initial reaction is
Spoilers.
I loved this win. This was a fun game, even though they were injured, heavily injured. Still a really, really fun game because they're still a good team even if they're injured. So what are your initial thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I kind of want to like quell that notion that we're beating bad teams or we're beating teams that have people injured. That's the state of the NBA. Back-to-backs, people are going to be resting. Players are going to be injured for lengthy periods of time. People like the dumbasses like Markieff Morris is going to shove someone in the back and then get 58 games of pain and have Dave Benz get off his seat when he gets checked in. We're going to have all sorts of things that happen in the NBA. I kind of don't care about that. I care about the record more than anything, and we shouldn't be really like questioning that. We will say that I don't know what this team ultimately wants to be at the end of the day. We don't have like a regular kind of rhythm or system. Tonight is showing its colors. We still don't know what we are because everyone came to play, and that was awesome. But what brought us to this victory tonight was defense intensity and second and third efforts, rotating, scrambling all around, because defense leads to offensive transition. Transitions were a gem for us to get us back into the game when we were down big, and chipping away instead of that 7-point play that we were trying to like just throw up in thin air from last night. It was a remarkable setting to be part of a loss, like a 24-hour period, re-examination of who we are. Finch kind of being what was kind of like just like letting the game fall out of place to like orchestrating a comeback, orchestrating play calls, and letting the players kind of develop who's running the show. Everyone came to play tonight, and it was awesome to see. Rare air to see. And I don't care if Jimmy Butler's hurt. We didn't have Patrick Beverley. I don't care if they had a couple other people out, like Victor Oladipo that just came back from injury. We didn't have Vando. Like we're working through this shit too. It was also a tale of kind of like a first quarter high, a first 6-minute high, followed by 12 to 16 minutes of just we've seen this movie before, and then the halftime flipped the script, and I thought I wasn't expecting what I saw, and man, if this energy can be kind of this like push into a little capsule, and we take this pill every freaking game, this is what I want to see from a Timberwolves team closing out a season.
Yeah, you're right. And, to go off your point that you were making just a second ago, I mean, what a redemption game for Chris Finch. Because the last game was a very bad game for Finch. And, I think, the more I thought about it, the more I thought, there's going to be games where coaches are going to get most of the blame because of things that they're trying. Or, they could even be trying to, like, get players in and out, or not out, but like into hot streaks, even if it's not there. So it could be maybe the coach is just falling on the knife for that one, but no, tonight was, I mean, there were so many different elements of why it was good, but I mean, two specific plays were the two timeouts near the end. I mean, that was incredible. I actually was really nervous to start the game because Finch left Towns in with two fouls, and I was like,
Get his third.
yeah, and we was within 4 minutes of the game he had two fouls, and they leave him in, and then he gets it with 6 minutes in to the first quarter, and like if you don't know Towns by this point, like what's going on? But he redeemed himself for every other rotation, every other substitution that he did. We had a lot of Noel tonight, which was great. I mean, look up and down the like the box score tonight. It's the weirdest box score you'll ever see from a Timberwolves team because it's not top heavy. It's literally 8 deep of double-digit scores. It is so strange, and I'm sorry if you hear my dog in the background. But yeah, it was just a super impressive night from the players, from the coaches, defensively, offensively, and we were down last night pretty bad. And I said that if we come back tonight and lose this game, I essentially, in my mind, I was like, if we lose tonight, I don't care about seeding anymore because it doesn't matter. Like if we can't beat a team like this, or at least put up a great fight against a team like this, then it doesn't matter because then we might as well just lose the play-in games because that's essentially what this is. We're playing I mean, they're the number one team in the East, but like still, this is a game that needed to be won. And we won it. So I'm super happy, a little too happy probably right now. I need to bring myself back down to earth a little bit. But
you're
no,
on
this
earth.
was a great game.
10 toes down, my friend.
10 toes down. But yeah, two quick little interjections that I have before we go a little bit more into the game. One, Denver is currently playing right now and is winning. They are now winning. They were losing the first half, losing through the third quarter, and now they are up by 6 against the Raptors in the fourth quarter. Still plenty of time left in that game, but that is obviously something we're keeping an eye on, as if the Nuggets lose tonight, we are only 1.5 games back of them, which would just be massive. I mean, that would be so huge to be able to do that. And then second little interjection, what should our secret word for the VOD watchers be tonight?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe Wolves back.
General soreness.
General soreness is the perfect answer. That is perfect. General soreness. So if you're watching this,
this live and after the fact, yes, comment general soreness.
Comment general soreness on the video.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. But anyways, back to it. I mean, I just can't stop looking at this stat sheet and how crazy it is. It's kind of crazy though, because there's players that had both ends of their game tonight. Like Towns, for example, had some of his best play that I've seen. He started that game, other than the fouls.
So
amazing.
Hot. It was so good.
Amazing. But then he also has 3 fouls in the first 6 minutes, and he's attempting behind the back passes under the opponent's basket to just get the ball out and almost throws it away. There was just pluses and minuses everywhere. You have Jaden, who had a fantastic night, but then at the same time fouls out of the game. With all the typical kind of Jaden fouls, I'll be like, sure, they're weaker fouls, but we just had it all over. One thing, and I know I brought this up last time, and when we were talking with Cooper, was the X factor or whatever that is, and the more games go on, the more interesting I find this conversation, just because it is truly interesting to know, like, okay, who is the player for the Wolves right now? And I guess it depends on your definition of X factor too, but it's like, who is the player that truly dictates whether we lose or not? And I don't mean in like the first, like Towns, Ant, or D'Lo. Beyond those three, which player dictates in your opinion, whether we win or lose a game?
I don't have an answer for you It's
It's a hard question.
quite possibly Malik Beasley. It's probably a mix or a blend of all of our bench because we don't really have that fourth player that is the X factor. It is just if shooting is on, then they have to guard and contain the shooting. If
Yep.
like Nas is posting up down low and getting a lot, they have to kind of cover for that. So in a lot of ways, I think it's Malik Beasley. Looks like Momo says it's Malik 100%. So maybe I need to think about how sure I am or not about this team. But the phrasing of your question was interesting. Who of outside of the top three is our X factor? Shouldn't our X factor include the top three because we're not getting consistent play from them right now?
True. I guess there's, but I guess what I'm thinking is you always have on these playoff teams and just better teams.
We
there's one other player that is not necessarily known as like a star, but truly change. Like, I mean, think of it right now for Golden State. Jordan Poole is a huge player for them right now, but you wouldn't necessarily think of him as their top three player because obviously it's going to be Clay, or it's going to be Steph, Clay. I mean, you might argue Draymond for his defense. Some people might even say Wiggins because of his contract. There's players like that, but Jordan Poole comes in and changes the game for them and wins games for them. So who is that player for us that comes in and somewhat of a sixth man type player that, like, who, I guess the question really boils down to, is it Beasley, is it Taurean Prince, or is it Jalen Noel? Who needs to have a good game to win games?
I'm sorry if I'm being such a sour puss here. I don't know if I care. I want it to just be anyone to come to play because right now our identity is still kind of in flux. And if it's Beasley, that's awesome. Run the hot hand. I think that is the X factor. We run the hot hand. When we see Noel pop off, we run the hot hand. When we see Naz Reid, we keep him out there. He's been playing well. At least he played well tonight, so we got him extended minutes tonight, right? Rather than just being a cat, supplant, he's actually there being meaningful out there. And Jaden, if he's not in foul trouble, he can pop off it for 15 any given game. So I can't answer you, man. I'm sorry. You just answer the question and let's move on.
Well, I'm gonna pull a reverse Uno card.
Okay.
I'm going to say I'm going to say that everything you're saying is kind of correct because it's really, you kind of said it at a point, it's shooting. It's not a player, it's shooting. Because you need those players to be making shots and be making plays for us, whether it's offensively, defensively as well. Like, obviously, I think Momo in the comments is saying, or in the chat is saying, like, TP is always going to give you defense. Noel is going to be consistent, but Malik is not consistent. So yeah, you could. I think that's a good argument for Malik being that player that we're kind of talking about. But it's realistically like you kind of need that parlay of all three of them doing well. Because if they're not all three doing well, it does not guarantee a W. So, and tonight they all played well, and that's what we're gonna need going into playoff games. Obviously, I think if they all three play well on a night, there's really not a reason for us not to win.
I'm going to contradict everything we just said, and I think actually it's defense. Defense is the X factor.
True.
If we can have everyone press up and do what we just did today, with or without Beverly, with or without Vando on the court, that's going to pave such a, like, I wouldn't say an easy road. It's not a yellow brick road still, but it makes our job easier because our offense still needs a lot of work in that offensive transition that we find. Free offense, free play, free defense, and that free offense rather, and that just fuels us, and you can see everyone reacting to someone else giving a second and third effort. I think defense is our X factor. If we can pull this, what we started out 3-1 and what we've been seeing as of late, which is second and third efforts from players like Ant, who was awesome, who was sensational today on
Twitter
defense.
didn't think so,
like
but
that
yes,
is going to create such a different package that our team could reach, could excel at late in the season, late in the playoffs.
And Frank in the chat actually brings up another great point. So there's a million answers to this question.
And not
foul. Not fouling. That's another huge factor for Jaden, for Towns, for mainly those two, Nas, all of our bigs. Like, we can't foul our bigs. So there's just all these things that kind of have to happen. Luckily, a lot of it is controllable. Fouling is, for the most part, controllable. Defense is effort. And as Pat Bev said in his most recent podcast with JJ Redick, he was like, That's just a will thing. You just have to, like, defense is will. So you go out and do it. You choose whether or not you do it. Offense, I think, can kind of come and go, as the season goes on. But yeah. So basically, to answer my question, every answer is correct. um, but I think we'll find out come playoff time. But speaking of which, another small interjection: the Raptors are back in front in Denver. That's a big turn of events. But anyways, did you have any other first reactions, or do you want to jump into the over/under tier list?
Yeah, my first reactions were the first quarter was awesome. It was such a great experience to see us kind of respond from that game that felt embarrassing to lose, and lose the way that we did, and not have an identity on offense, and figure it out. We learned to figure it out over the course of this game because we had a huge lead at 10 to 12 points, and then they caught fire. They caught fire in that second quarter. I don't think they missed from three. It was like 8 for 10 from three. Well, they scored 42 points in that second quarter. My Taco Bell, Wendy's late night snack attack pack play stat of the night.
Yes.
That they scored 37 points in the second half. That is not just us saying you can shoot whatever you want and miss, and they were just missing. We were on their asses.
We were.
It was so fun to watch, man. Big kudos to that second half adjustment, and whenever they were on a potential run, there was a lot of timeouts being called by Finch early, and just getting these things kind of nipped in the butt. And I thought it was an awesome, overall awesome game plan, package, as well as discipline by our coach and team.
Yeah, and Finch. So Finch, the plays that you're talking about, Finch had 4 timeouts with 4 minutes to go, and we got to stop, call the timeout, went and got a bucket. And then it was 3.5 minutes to go. Got to stop, call the timeout, went and got a bucket. It was perfection, perfection. Actually, I don't think the second time we got a bucket, I think Ant took a 3 and missed it. But either way, the timeouts were perfect because you're going to lose them at the 3-minute mark, excuse me. So just perfectly timed. But yeah, no, I love it. All right. You ready to get into over/under tier list?
Yeah. Holy crap, I'm looking at the scoreboard, and Tyler Hero scored 18 in the second quarter.
Yeah,
oh my God, 8 for 8 from free throws. Yeah, it's insane.
I was super worried about him.
Well, anyways, yeah, let's get into the over/under, and Big Boy with some big boy stats of his own. And I forgot what the stat was. Actually, give me 2 seconds. Anywho, over/under, there it is. So he had Ant set at 21.5 points. He went under with 15. Jaden with 1.5 blocks and steals, and he got just above with 2 blocks. Those are awesome blocks.
Yes.
And that's me improvising here. Bam, Adebayo's stat line was 11.5 rebounds. He went over with 12. How does Big Boy do it? And he had the team from 3 was set at 37.5%, and they shot under with 33.3. They were abysmal in the first quarter, lightning hot in the second quarter, and I don't know what they were doing in that second half, but it must have been us, because outside of Hero, they were getting nothing from anyone else on outside of the perimeter.
True. Yes, and I just triggered a notification to come on the screen that 6 Cents just subscribed, even though 6 Cents has been here for a while. Shout out 6 Cents. Feel free to sub.
Shout out to you.
Feel free to like the video, and remember that secret word, General Soreness. I forgot it.
Yeah, there it is. I was forgot.
I was going to say Window Concepts, but that was yesterday's. All right, well, on to the tier list. We've got a few players on here. We've even got a coach. I have Chris Finch up first. Do you want to do a 3-2-1 for Finch?
No. I'm sorry. I'm going to agree with whatever you say.
Okay. So, I honestly might say A1.
Okay. I'm going to disagree with you on that. But...
Okay. Then give me your reasons.
I think it's an A tier effort for sure. We finally saw some play calls. We finally saw some ATOs. that worked in our favor. And I think there was some adequate like timeout usage and second half adjustments where like you could see it in the flesh. That first half, that second quarter may have been cat driven, honestly, but we held on to Beasley too long. We were out of this game if Noel and Jaden McDaniels didn't do anything in that second quarter. So like we needed to find a better rhythm, and I didn't think that Finch really had any pulse of like who could find the game within itself. So I think he just ran with the second bunch players and like was hoping for halftime sooner than later, you know. So that's my only one little like knock. But the second half was awesome, and I'll just say fuck it. Like A1, we won. I don't care.
Yeah, so the two knocks that I would have on him, I agree with what you say in the Beasley. I can't remember who said it in the Discord. Shout out the Discord. But somebody in the Discord said that Finch loves to play Beasley roulette or something like that, where it's like you just take a chance and even though he's 0 for 2, like let's just see if he can go 7 for 9 or something. Like it's like gambling for him. And it does kind of feel like that. He has this like over obsession, but I think I think there is a reason, and I think that he knows that Beasley can hit shots at such a high rate. But it's like so can Noel, and we had some lineups out there tonight where Noel and Beasley were both out there. So that's one of my knocks, and then the other knock is having Towns stay in past the 4-minute mark, or not. I mean, I do believe this is more of a Towns issue. I don't think that Finch could go to Towns and be like, hey, just do anything but foul, because I think Towns would still try to block shots, try to foul. One interesting kind of tidbit is that like in the beginning of the game, I think they got a foul on Bam really quickly, maybe within like the first minute. And then immediately after that, we were able to get open layups because Bam was backing off of the play like he should. I mean, we're a minute into the game. So if you have a foul, don't foul again. Like a smart player would do that, and Towns didn't do that.
Right.
But so that's that's less of a Finch thing. But Finch did leave him out there for the ability to do that, and that is, Towns. You've been with him all year. It's so clear that happens. So yeah, that and the Beasley thing does, I guess, sway my A1 a little bit, but the timeout thing at the end was just perfect.
Go.
I think it was great. And
A1.
It's unforgettable for me, so that's why I say A1.
Let's go. I think the chat agrees with you.
Boom.
We've been a little out of sorts in terms of our tier lists through schedules and stuff, and that's fine. So we don't have a Discord tier list up there, mainly because I'm lazy.
That's right. I didn't even think about that.
We can move on here. Josh Okogie is probably nothing. He played all of one possession.
What? I didn't even know he was in the game.
They didn't even score on that possession. Torian Prince, Jordan McLaughlin, Jalen Noel, Naz Reid. I kind of want to I would love to, if we were to condense this podcast or this show, talk about them as a unit, but I think they each deserve their own nod here. So I'll run with whatever grade you say. Yeah. But Torian Prince in 23 minutes, 3 for 8, 2 for 5 from 3, 3 from 5 from the free throw line. Our bench is getting to the free throw line. Hell yeah. 11 points. What do you got? What do you got for Torian Prince? TP, sleep easy, my friends.
TP, God, this is crazy. But the way he felt when he was in the game, I felt like he was an A-tier player tonight.
He was an A-tier player, right?
He just made so many important plays for us tonight that I can't not put him in A. And although his stats aren't necessarily mind-blowing,
who cares?
It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I feel so comfortable with him out there. I don't ever feel like what I felt like in the beginning of the season where I didn't want him touching the floor. I remember us just screaming at Finch, being like, take his ass out. Yeah. Play Okogie, play others.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone other than Prince, out there. I even sometimes want him starting because just the length, the ability to rebound and to defend with size is something that we covet sometimes in our starting lineup, especially when Vando's not out there. Sensational player, man. I'm glad that we're finding him here now as opposed to peaking early.
Yes.
Because this is the player I want long term on the team, bar none, for sure.
Yep, 100%.
No, he's an A. He's an A. It doesn't matter your stat line. It's the visual evidence is enough for me to say A-tier player.
I'm gonna give a quick grade to Jordan McLaughlin just because we don't really need to talk about him too much tonight. The only thing I really have to say is that I laugh out loud every single game that D'Lo finds him for that one play that they run. I want to get like a compilation of all those plays that they've done throughout the season because it is hilarious to me. Also brilliant, like they catch the defenders off guard every time, and it's just amazing. It's like nobody game plans for it. Of course, you don't necessarily need a game plan for a Jordan McLaughlin one layup a game play, but like it's just hilarious how much it works, and I hope that it works for us in our favor come playoff time. But I'm gonna give Jordan a C. I mean, there wasn't anything. Nope, I'm gonna give him a B. He had 3 steals.
Give him a B.
Tonight.
3 steals, my friend. He was so good in that second quarter, that second half stint.
Yes, 100%.
And setting other people up was great. Jalen Noel, 21 minutes. That is so much more of the minute quotient that I would like to see from him moving forward to close the season. 6 for 13. Maybe that's a byproduct of not having Beverly and not having Vando. But anyways, 6 for 13. I was worried that, he couldn't find a shot in the first 2 or 3 shots, but then he started going to the rim, and that was cool. 2 for 5 from 3. He went to the free throw line a couple times. 16 points. What's your grade for him?
I am going to give him a A. I'm going to give him an A.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a little bit lower of an A, but this, I mean, we want this out of him. We don't always get this. I mean, we get this amount of production out of him. He's 6 of 13, so I mean, that's actually maybe worse than he normally is. But I mean, his buckets tonight were huge. He made them in moments. He was kind of our star when we weren't playing so well. So I give him an A tonight, maybe a little bit lower than Torian, but I just loved his game tonight, and I really want Finch to keep playing him somehow.
Yeah, Jim Peterson said it best. Like, we're rooting for you, Jalen. Like, this is the player we need desperately on our team. He's probably our X factor if he can put it together on both sides of the floor. Yep. He has those moments where he's there defensively, but he's usually guarding like a player that can bypass him, right? So it's almost like he's just waving the red flag when he's out there on defense sometimes. But what we gain from him offensively is something that we don't have in any other player other than like maybe Ant, and that's someone who's able to drive and score at will and score purposefully and somewhat selfishly. When we didn't have anything going in the second quarter, we could have been blown out by 30, but luckily we had Jalen Noel out there. Sensational player for us. I want him to have more time. I just hope that he doesn't get relegated to the bench, meaning end of bench, meaning no minutes out there once Beverly gets back. Yep. Anywho, Naz Reid, 24 minutes, 3 for 8 from the field, but that doesn't do its justice.
No.
3 offensive rebounds, 10 rebounds total, 3 steals, a block, 2 blocks. 11 points. I'm going to probably persuade your grade here a little bit, but what a rebound performance, not literally, but also literally, from last night tonight.
What a rebound performance. What a scoring. I mean, not so much a scoring performance, but he got 11 points. What a defensive performance. I mean, Cat goes out early and he has to go up against Bam, and all of us in the Discord, all of us on Twitter were like, it's over. We're screwed because Nas isn't going to be able to handle him, let alone he comes in, blocks him, and forces all these insane shots. He's got to pass it out. I couldn't believe it. I am borderline A1 for Nas tonight, but I'm thinking it's probably an A. I'm thinking I'm too much on cloud 9, but were you going to persuade me up to an A1?
I loved him out there. I think it was going to be an A1 if it was just the second half alone. That first half stint might not have been his fault, but he definitely was outmatched a few times there. And he doesn't get the call favorably much for him, but when he falls hard, and maybe that's also in love and is outside of basketball life too. And I don't know, man, this was an awesome performance, and he had that corner 3 that was so pivotal when we had nothing running, and just having him hit that corner 3, that's like textbook what we want out of our 3-point gunning center. We lose something when he's out there because we don't have the size, we don't have the defensive acuity, but we have someone kind of growing into a role. It would be nice to have someone playing alongside him with size that can actually push him to the 4 position or something. But anyways, it's awesome to see him. I was going to say A1.
Yeah. Were you? Yeah. Breaking news: the Denver Nuggets lose. We are
Yeah,
now 1.5 games back of the
yeah.
sixth seed. Wolves back.
Wow. Will's back.
I, Finch is in
Will's
chat.
1 game back.
Is it 1 game or 1.5? I thought it was one and a
Oh
half.
shit. I was trying to be funny.
Oh, okay. Um, but no, Wolves back 1.5 games, and the Denver Nuggets have a really tough schedule coming up. So do we, but you know,
One and a
there's
half
a
games.
shot. There is a chance. Wolves back. Everybody celebrate, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. All right, next up, we're on to the start. Oh, I didn't even put Nas's grade up there. Did you say A1 at the end? Did I hear that correctly?
I said A1. I thought it was awesome.
I
I
thought it
thought it
was
was
too.
so good. And when Cat went down in the fourth foul, I was just thinking, what's happening now, right? Where are we going to find any sort of paint defense? And it was Nas coming to the rescue. Nas has had a hard time rebounding this season. 10 rebounds. You have to give it up to someone who's actually putting that extra effort, especially in a game like tonight. I think it was a must-win game.
I do too. I
He felt.
obviously
I think
agree.
he thought so too.
Yep. Cool. Well, um, next up's the starters.
Starties. Yeah. So, sorry, I'll take this. I feel like Cat. Maybe we should talk about maybe last.
Yep.
In terms of minutes played, we'll talk about Jaden here. 24 minutes, he fouls out, but he went 6 for 8 from the field, 1 for 3 for 3, had 6 rebounds to match his 6 fouls, 14 points though. I got a grade. You got a grade?
I think I have a grade. Yeah.
Are you ready for a countdown of 3, 2, 1s?
Yeah. I'm ready for a 3, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. All right. In 3, 2, 1, A.
A. Yeah.
Yes. My
It's.
boy Cam.
I am coming
Respect.
around. I am on the Jaden train, which is probably unfortunate for Jaden because now that I'm saying this out loud, I am back on the hype train for Jaden. I'm seeing moves out there from him that are like KD, and it's not even a joke. Like he has these crossovers that are wicked fast. He is a decision maker. He is a shot maker. He is a shot blocker. He is our best defender on the team. It's insane. The only knock on his game tonight is his fouling, which again, I always blame half of his fouling on the refs just because the refereeing he gets is insanely bad. But I am fully on board with Jaden, and I love it.
I love him. He's our future. He's showing us so much. And in a team where he's starting right now, not getting a single shot attempt until the rest of our starters go to the bench.
Yeah.
He finds his way. He finds his will to get on the scoreboard. And honestly, nothing's run for him. There's no play called for him. And as he finds himself with the ball and he's told to be a little bit more assertive and aggressive, and then boom, you get that block, you get that offensive rebound, you get that putback, you get that dunk. He's kind of all over the place. He's kind of Vando before Vando became Vando, and he's doing a lot without a script, and it's really fun to see. I need him to get stronger. I don't know if he can. Like, he reminds me of a very much more in control Corey Brewer, those types of players that just can be an irritant without really knowing, and like, people are now game planning against him and game planning to avoid it. And like, the only reason why he got fouled out of the game is because Kyle Lowry gets the benefit of the whistle a little bit more often than Jaden does, and just kind of like beats him to small spots, and he gets touch fouls. And that's part of Jaden's game that he'll need to correct over the course of the career. But like, when he's out there, I want him, I want Prince, I want those players out there because they give us an identity that we are so sorely lacking, especially when Beverly's not out there.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
But
Cool. So yeah.
Next up, who's up?
Yeah, I was going to say before we bring in next up, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. General Soreness be damned. He didn't even suit up tonight.
He didn't. He wore a shirt that
He was
said
nothing
light.
but booted. And in front of Kanye and Future, no less, Anthony Edwards, 36 minutes, 4 for 10 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3. Went to the line a few times, 4 times to be exact. 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, a block, 15 points. Not a like a usual game from Ant. I have a grade. Do you have a grade?
I also have a grade. Yes.
In 3, 2, 1.
A.
A. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
I feel like, distance isn't really a factor here in terms of us being on the same page.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to say about Ant's game tonight. I think what we expect out of Ant is we're expecting that kind of typical superstar stat line of like, you're getting 25 points plus a night, getting like 5-ish rebounds or so. Like you kind of expect him to be like 25, 5 and 5, and then with his defense abilities like a steal or a block or both or something, which is an insane stat line. But that's kind of what we expect out of Ant. I think we should expect him to be a little closer to maybe not expect. I mean, this is a pretty phenomenal night for him, but like expect it to be closer to like somewhere in the 15-point range with maybe 5 to 8 rebounds, and then he gets a couple steals a game and a block. He is this kind of maybe not the star of the team, but he can be the utility guy. He can do everything. He can. I mean, there were moments tonight where he was doing bounce passes to I think Nas in the lane or something, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
And I have to just shout out Twitter. Twitter needs to shut up because they were all down on Anthony Edwards this game.
Oh
I
God.
loved this Anthony Edwards game. Sure, did he chuck a couple threes? Yes, that's a
For
given
what?
any game. But guess what? So does everyone. Everyone chucks threes when you're a 3-point shooting team that now has what 1,005 threes. Dave Benz would know. But I love this game from him. And if this is his stat line, but he has the same amount of production and winning plays, I will take this stat line any night. I loved it. He was one of the players that won the game for us.
Yes. Yes to all of that. He was one of the main players that won this game for us
Mm-hmm.
because what he didn't have was the ball in his hands. And how can you affect winning without the ball in your hands? Well, it's all the other things. And he was taking a page from Patrick Beverley on the sidelines, barking at him. And he was aggressive. He was very, very in the face of Vincent and others. And yeah, maybe Struess and Tyler Hero popped off. But those are two of the players that were the only players that popped off for them, right? Lowry got his kind of. Bam kind of like, negated whatever Towns did. Who were the other players that popped off for Miami? No one.
Yeah.
Like Duncan Robinson is nothing. And Ant had a lot to do with that. And it was really cool to see the multiple defensive efforts from him, the safety like court, like football like mentality to get in passing lanes. Him and Prince were sensational in that regard tonight. And 8 rebounds when Towns is on the perimeter, when Towns is out because of foul trouble, I really struggle with who's getting rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy that Ant's getting in the paint now. When D'Lo's not out there, when J Mac is having a kind of a ball hawking night where he has to pass out, who I don't know who's passing the ball. It's Ant. It's Ant is now doing that, and it's a secondary facilitator. He's going to be our Edward Scissorhands. He's going to do it all and then groom into a superstar.
Yeah.
That's a correct way maybe of finding a player. You don't have to give him the ball every step of the way like Wiggins because he's going to give you so much doubt and chuck and do things that are just instinctual rather than by the book, right? So I think this is the way to build a star, man. I love this, and I want to see an offseason with Ant like in the war room and like kind of like studying basketball with Beverly, like because they're a unit to next year too. I can't wait for that to happen. Really excited about Ant's game from tonight. As of last night, he had more of a point production standpoint. Tonight, he was all over the court.
He was everything. And as Jelson says in the chat, for a second-year player, we shouldn't expect Ant to be our leading star. Jelson, you're right. I just had way too high of expectations coming into this year. I see Ant as how Patrick Beverley sees Ant. I see him as the possibility to be a Jordan-type player because of everything about him. His attitude, his playmaking ability, his defense. I mean, he can shoot threes, he can dunk, he can do it all. He can distribute. The one thing that is holding him back, which is the one thing that I will say was maybe the thing that I liked least about his game tonight, multiple times he drove to the lane and he just loses the ball. Apparently he only had one turnover. Maybe one of them was a foul or something like that. But there is a concern there. But he's a second-year player, So you're right. We don't need to be having him up here in these conversations like, why isn't he scoring like KD every night? Why isn't he doing this? Because he's not that player. Like, he is somebody that can do everything. He can score 5 points one night and contribute to the team's win just as much as he does when he scores 30. So he is a player that can do everything. And like Ashwin said, he was everywhere tonight. So he's an A tier for me, for sure. Easy A tier.
Great call. I was watching I don't know why I was watching this so acutely, but like on the stanchion, or not the stanchion, but like on the sideline where you check in and out, there's these little like jars of like kind of, they're called like all hands or something, and you
Yeah.
can put it on your hands to like get a grip on the ball a little bit better. Ant doesn't use it, but other players use it. I thought that was kind of interesting to note. I was kind of paying a lot of attention towards it. Anywho, whatever.
That is
That's beside the
interesting.
fact. Let's go to we've talked about, did we talk about, yeah, we talked about Jaden, we talked about Ant, we talked about our next player, Malik Beasley, 30 minutes, 4 for 9 from the 3-point line. Kind of nothing else except for 4 fouls, which was interesting because he was in foul trouble, but did really matter because I don't think he ever would foul out. 12 points, though. I have a grade for him. I might be different than yours. Let's
I
see
have a
what you got.
grade that might be different than yours. All right.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, C.
B. Okay, I put him a little higher than you, and I kind of want to come down to a C, but it was more of like C plus, B minus, and so we won, pump it up to a B.
Okay. I can maybe meet you in the middle because the reason I give him a C is because this is almost exactly what I expect out of him. Many games ago, all these people on Twitter are having these Malik Beasley apology forms that they're signing. I am not somebody that needs to sign that because all year I have been a Malik Beasley fan. Even when he was shooting 1 for 12 every night, I
Oh,
was
so you were
like,
expecting this?
he's going to do this. He is going to be our player, and he is going to be crucial for us. So I feel no guilt. I feel nothing bad because I know I was right for one time about anything in Timberwolves history. But yeah, I mean, I expect him to score. I mean, he started tonight, so maybe I expect a couple more points. But like from Malik Beasley, in the amount of time that he usually gets, 20 to 30 minutes, somewhere. I mean, that's a wide range, but somewhere in that range. Probably somewhere between like 12 and 15 points. That's probably what I'm expecting. Maybe could go 10 to 15, something like that. But I think I think this is pretty close to what I expect. Now, Jelson does make a good point in the chat saying that, that clutch three, he had a couple clutch threes tonight, which was huge. So, that's, I guess that's a little bit where I can maybe be bumped up to like a C plus and then maybe even a B minus because we won. I don't necessarily think it was A because like he was, I mean, 4 of 9 is good. Nothing wrong with that, especially from 3, but you know, I want Beasley to just be on, and then when he's on, then it can go above that. But like I kind of expect this out of Beasley, so maybe it's just my expectations. I don't know. Do you have a counterpoint or not really?
Oh, I just felt bad for him starting. We looked really good at the from the jump when we got a 10-point lead. Beasley had 0 shot attempts. Jaden had 0 shot attempts. It was literally all Ant, D'Lo, and Cat got us that way. The second that Cat went out, Beasley didn't have much of a role, but he was then forced to take a couple last second shots, right? So he went 0 for 2 in the first half. 4 for 7 from the second half. That's awesome, right? And the most clutch 3 to just say good night, sweet prince of Miami Heat. And that was an awesome play, a killer dagger from our 3-point specialist. It's nice to see. Want more of it? Can't get enough of it, really.
Well, I'm in a giving mood, so we'll move him up to a B tonight. I don't think it's an A for me.
Nah, it's not an A.
But I can definitely see B, just because the clutch 3 and did what he was supposed to. So
yeah, I mean, but like the funny thing though is he's out there and Tyler Hero is popping off and he's not like negating that that output, right? And when he's out there and Strus is getting threes, like, well, we need a counterpoint. We don't have that counterpoint yet. Hopefully we can keep this like lead within reach for when Beasley is popping off, and apparently that happened. The 17 is not too far for us, right? Yeah. That's cool. We got to come back.
Yep. And
Chris Finch, before we get to the next player, Chris Finch said he regretted not playing Jalen Noel more last night. He couldn't get off his mind all day. He didn't want to let it happen tonight. That's cool.
Clearly watches the Built from Day One podcast.
Yeah.
He should be subscribed, like the video, and comment general soreness. But no, the last thing I was going to say on Malik tonight, God, I can't stop thinking about that Finch quote. That's good. I'm glad he's saying that. But one random little thing about Malik, he had 4 fouls tonight. I don't know if I've ever seen him get that high of a foul count before, but he was taking a lot when Towns was in foul trouble, which was almost immediately. He kind of had to stand up against Bam a couple times. And although he was doing a pretty good job walling up, it was just a little late. So he was getting a lot of fouls, but just a random little side note. But anyways, On to the top. Well, maybe not the top two, but we got D'Lo and Towns. You wanted to do D'Lo first?
D'Lo, 33 and a half minutes, 3 for 13 from the field, 1 for 6 from three. He went to the line 7 times. Crafty vet, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 14 points, but a shocking 5 turnovers. I have a grade for him. Are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
C?
C. What did you say?
I said C as in cat.
C's and cat as well.
The only reason I don't want to go to a D is because we did win, and he had 9 assists, he had 6 rebounds, so like obviously stat wise it's pretty decent. Chat seems to completely disagree with us, and 3 of 13 is definitely bad.
Pretty bad.
Along with
What's up,
five
Carson
turnovers.
Woodsill, sorry.
Yeah, along with 5 turnovers, this is really bad. But
I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Let's go down to a D.
I think I am too. I think
There's too much logic in chat right now.
There is too much logic. I think D makes sense. I don't think it's a Wancho performance because, well, actually, okay. One thing
Ooh, is it a Wancho?
He did have a Wancho play when it was clutch time, and we were up 3 points. He is trying to get everybody up because I think, who was it? Hero was down on the ground or something, so he was trying to beat the play. We don't beat the play. Hero gets back, and he chucks a 3
from like 35 feet.
I mean, like, how bad was that?
That was bad.
That was really bad. I think
I agree with.
Yeah, I think I agree with Carson in chat. We expect more from D'Lo, and it's really close to Wancho. I actually, I can't believe I'm embarrassed that I said a C before. So forget that I said that.
Am I embarrassed? Not as much. 6 rebounds, 9 assists is awesome. It's what we need. It's not what we're paying him for.
No.
And his defensive acuity is there, but he wasn't really felt tonight defensively. And 5 turnovers, I feel like I could count all of them. Like, I remember when he was trying to dribble and trying to craft a foul, and he got stripped, and then he was like, "That's a foul," and then of course not. It's a strip, and it's a free throw, or it's a transition bucket the other way. And yeah, while he's plus 17 on the court or whatever, I think it's a byproduct of him passing to Beasley, passing to Ant, passing to Cat, and not necessarily his own aggressive self, which is another reason why I feel like this is actually more of a D than a C, because he wasn't driving to the rim as much as he should, and he wasn't crafting plays the way that he's been known to. The best play was that give and go with Jordan McLaughlin, and that other awesome play was that that chip pass to Beasley for a 3. Other than that, I mean, I don't remember him doing much, and shooting 13 times, which is a team high, I guess 13 times, which is bad. Anyways, but borderline chucking from 3. Find another way to score and affect the game the way that Ant does, the way that other people do. I need more from my max player point guard. This was a weak game, but I'm glad he was out there to close it out, because I really do feel like Finch read the game well too, where he sat D'Lo in the big part of the fourth quarter. And usually he might bring him back with 6 minutes to go. No, he sat until like 2 minutes to go. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, he had J-Mac out there. It was kind of insane. I couldn't believe it when there was a point in the fourth quarter where he's like, put J-Mac in. I was like, oh, God. I was like, this is scary. But no, the one thing I will say about D'Lo, though, is that other than when he does his Wancho type plays where he just chucks up a 3 and it's like out of rhythm, just bad. It's one of those shots where if this doesn't go in, it's the worst shot of your career kind of a thing. Maybe not career, but like it's a terrible, terrible shot. He does that multiple times a game. Sometimes he hits it. Sometimes he hits every time in a game. But some games like tonight, he misses almost everyone. So it was painful tonight. But when D'Lo's out there, our offense just flows a lot better a lot of the time. Whether he's taking shots or not, even if he's missing shots, there's just something to the game that helps. And, Finch kind of goes back and forth between balancing like, okay, I'm going to leave Towns and Ant in there so that D'Lo can come in with the bench guys in the second quarter or third quarter or whatever it may be. And I do think that it's valuable, but man, 3 of 13 tonight and 5 turnovers is a really bad game. And if we would have lost, I guess we probably would have looked back at these stats and been like, whoa, I need to reevaluate my thoughts on D'Lo. And maybe I do. I'm sure Godfrey is someplace right now saying, I can't believe this isn't a Glenn Taylor game. But But I think there is value in D'Lo's game even when it's not on. But he did have those Wancho level plays tonight, which bring him down to at least a D.
The more and more we talk about this, the more and more I kind of want to lean into Wancho. It's just like we won, right? So it's like a borderline D performance. But when we talk about our tier list, we talk about what we are expecting on a night-to-night basis,
Yeah.
not for the overall season. And what we are expecting on a night-to-night basis is not this. And so he's definitely not a C. So we were so wrong. Carson is basically 100% right. He should lead this show sometimes. It's really close to Rancho because we expect so much more than this from D'Lo. And Momo says he probably has only made 2 transition threes this whole season. It's probably time for him to stop doing this.
Yeah.
And Jelson says D'Lo takes transition threes while nearly falling to the damn ground. He never gets his feet set in transition. He's always been super funky and kind of unorthodox in that regard too. But sometimes that stuff works, and it's usually in the mid-range when it works.
Yeah, I agree with chat, and I think that he barely saves himself from Wancho tonight.
Yeah,
I think this is the lowest D you can get. So remember this. This is a deep. I think winning certainly helps. It's hard to give a player a Wancho when you win. Like if I would have said, it could have obviously gotten worse. D'Lo could have come down multiple possessions and tried to take multiple threes with like 2 minutes to go. He did not do that. So, barely a D. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, most often would be the player of the night, but tonight felt like an afterthought. 25 minutes for the big cheese, the Kentucky Wildcat. 4 for 9 from the field, which is hopefully a season low in terms of shot attempts. I would hope that he hasn't shot less than that. 1 for 3 from 3. The first play of the game was his only make. 6 for 8 from free throws, 10 rebounds, 4 fouls, 3 turnovers, 15 points for our big squeeze in the middle. Point meow. Are you ready for a grade?
This is the hardest grade I've ever done, honestly.
The hardest thing. We'll take a sip, man.
Can't.
And subscribe to the show if you can't.
I think I'm ready.
All right.
3, 2, 1, D.
D. Yeah. The 2 players that we expect to have the best games, the most stable production. We've been accustomed to seeing it 20 and 15 or 25 and 10 or 22 and 8 and like a lot of threes. After winning the 3-point contest, something else has happened where he's been kind of different and he's been driving more, which is awesome. He didn't do any of that tonight because he had the 1 time or 2 times he did, he had an offensive foul. I personally saw nothing from his game outside of the first 4 minutes of the game that really screamed to me, yeah, this is our MVP, right? Because the first 4 minutes were epic. He got to the line 4 times. He had that 3. He had that sick bucket. And he was playing good defense. And then that foul crept into a second foul, crept into an offensive foul, crept into that screen, that illegal screen that I hate seeing. Man, like there's no discipline with him. And I just get frustrated. And so he's been so good for a good chunk of the season, biting my words, eating my tongue, or whatever the crap that expression is. Those are opposite. But tonight he kind of fell back to earth a little bit. And I can't ride with this version of Towns much longer. We need the other cat ASAP.
Yeah, and I think the reason that I said this was such a hard grade is because you're right. This was a lot of the old cat that we were complaining about a lot in the beginning of the season. But there still are moments like the beginning of the game where he is dominant cat and he is doing everything I want him to do. He's defending well, he's making shots, and he's changing the way the other team has to play against us. And then immediately gets 2 fouls. That the 2 foul thing is definitely bad. And just like I was talking about earlier, Bam got a foul early and then stopped defending. I mean, maybe not completely, but like he backed up a little bit. He's like, I'm not going to get a ticky-tack foul. I'm not even going to give the ref an opportunity to give me a ticky-tack foul. Towns instead is like, no, this is a challenge. I am going to play defense at a higher level than I normally do with 2 fouls because they're not going to expect it. So then he goes and he's swiping down. He's chicken wing, like everything. It is just the worst IQ decisions. I don't understand it. It's like an ego thing or something. I don't know.
Gotta be.
But it's insane. But the reason it's so difficult is because we are seeing 2 versions of Town. We are seeing, what is it, the Jekyll and the Hyde or whatever. Like, we are seeing 2 versions of Towns. One almost nightly. He had the behind the back pass that almost went out of bounds. But you also have just incredible playmaking. Also, he's been really good rebounding lately. Um, it's just all over the place. But overall, from your star player who showed signs of being your star player tonight, just wasn't there. I expect more, and I definitely don't expect getting 3 fouls in 6 minutes to start the game. One of our most important games of the season. So
Yeah,
I think that alone justifies the D.
100%. This is one of our most important games, and despite the fact that Jimmy Butler's not out there, despite Victor Oladipo or whatever not being out there, we didn't have Beverly and Vando. That is a test to us. Can we come out with the intensity as if we did have those two players? And we did. We showed that, and it was awesome. And then we showed our true colors that we didn't have them, and then we lost our lead. And we sulked, and we couldn't rotate to 3-point shooters. And Towns is out of the game with 3 or 4 fouls. It's the others that came to play, rescued this team from sinking, and I'm excited. We won despite, as MBB 424 said, or MB before 24. Ooh. Malik Beasley before 24. I don't know. We won without our 2 stars, with D's from our 2 stars. That's encouraging as hell, actually. I looked at the Philly game. I looked at the Miami game. And I'm looking at the rest of the season, those 2 Dallas games in particular, as the key to the rest of the season. How did we do? Because those are the games that we have to come up for and be ready and actually just take by the throat, man. Because if we want that 6th seed that's so like pivotal to our success, because then we don't have to actually face the 1 seed. We face the what is it, the 3-6, and then we play the winner of the 4-5 or so, or the winner of the 2-3 or something, or 2-7 or something like that. That's gonna be awesome because we don't have to face Phoenix, and that's big. That's really big for us.
It is. Yeah.
So,
we do not
and to not have those playing games where we don't have to play against a potential Paul George, Kawhi, and the Clippers, and or the 50-point a night scoring from LeBall himself, LeBron James. That's nice. That's encouraging. That's what we would like to see. Let's keep these losses running, Denver. We need this from you.
Yeah. To go off of what you were talking about the playoffs, right now, regardless if we get the 6th or 7th seed, well, it's not a guarantee that we get the 7th seed and win into the 7th seed. But like if we were to get the 6th or the 7th seed, we'd still be in that same half of the bracket, which would be the non-Suns bracket. So then we'd either be going against the Warriors, right, as it is right now. The Warriors is a 3 seed. So we're rooting for the Warriors to win. Or lose, depending on how we do, because we want to play Memphis most likely. I mean, Memphis still scares the crap out of me, but I know most people, and I mean, probably numbers wise, it probably makes sense for us to do that, and matchup wise. But yeah, I just don't want to be in that Suns bracket, because if we're in that Suns bracket, that's scary. But yeah, the thing that also, the games, I love the games that you pointed out, because it was that Philly game, it was tonight, the first Heat game also, and then the 2 Dallas games coming up next week or 2 weeks from now, I can't remember. Those are really huge games for us. Of course, like we play the Bucks next Saturday. We play the Lakers at home on Wednesday, and like those are important games, of course. But like those Denver games could directly impact us making the 6th seed, because I think, did they play tonight? I don't think the Mavs played tonight. No, they played last night and won, I believe, right?
Right.
Yes, they beat the Rockets. So that hurts us, but yeah, there's just, those are going to be games that we can directly impact our ability to get a 6th seed or even higher. It's not impossible for us to get the 5 seed, but realistically, we're just hoping for that 6th seed, because man, that changes everything for us. I was going to try to pull up their schedule, but for some reason I can't pull up their name on the standings now. But here we go. So the Dallas Mavs schedule, because they could be a team that, I mean, Denver may stay the same for the rest of the season. Who knows? They lost tonight, but it seems like the first time they've lost in forever. Same with the Mavs, though. The Mavs play Boston, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Charlotte, and then us. Rockets us. So
lose all those games, please, Dallas. That would be great.
They certainly could. The Nets are going to be in win now mode. Yeah. Boston is a great team now. Philadelphia is a better team, a great team now. And Charlotte's going to be fighting too. They're in the play-in series too. So those are all hard games.
Yeah, and Charlotte's at the back end of a back-to-back. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, cool. That's the look forward. Don't forget to change your clocks forward tonight, Minnesota
Nice.
Timberwolves. Well, anybody, Minnesota Timberwolves fans, because it is daylight savings. So technically, right now it's actually midnight in Minnesota, almost. Um, but yeah, any final thoughts to close it out before our next game, which is, I believe, Monday?
Oh no, great team win. Can't believe we won this after going down 17, finding a rhythm with the flow of J-Mac, Beasley, Noel. All those players really just outshine their roles, expected roles tonight. And when our team's star players are throwing up bricks and getting into foul trouble, the others respond. I've never felt that comfortable with our bench getting out there.
Yeah. I could not also not believe it when we were down by 17 that we were going to come back and win. I thought it was over. Like I said, I held on, and luckily I did because it was a very exciting game. So,
Yeah,
next game is Monday against the Spurs at the Spurs. So hopefully they're done winning for the season now that Pop got the record. They can just kind of coast
right.
off. It's over. But that would be a big game to win. And then, as Jelson's saying in the chat, the Lakers don't really scare me much right now, especially with our defensive abilities. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. We do this after most, if not every single game, and we are definitely going to be having tons of playoff coverage, so you'll definitely want to be subscribed. Like the stream. I think it helps us probably. I don't know. Leave the secret comment in the chat or in the comments after we're done, and that was General Soreness. We will be back on Monday night, a little bit later game on Monday night, 7:30 instead of 7. So just one thing to note there. And then obviously we'll be back for the Lakers game as well. So we will see you back on Monday night. Have a great night. We'll see you then. Intro is the outro. I almost forgot it. And 52 wins still in play.
Play.
That is actually the most important thing. Thank you, Carson. Thank you, Momo. Thank you, Jelson. Thank you, MBB424. We'll see you all on Monday night. Good night.